All right. So let's get started. I'll give you a bit about myself. So my full name is Kicharm John Kim, but I go by John. I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and now live in Flower Branch with my wife Kate and our two dogs and a cat. She's the one helping me over there. I studied art and design at the Rhode Island School of Design, and have been working as a professional product designer since 2001. I also do ceramics, as you can see some of my work there. And I'm currently a lighting designer in Flower Branch. So that's actually a current lighting fixture that came out in 2025. Um, and finally, I'm a creativity life coach. So today what we're going to talk about is how we can cultivate the creativity mindset. We're going to define what burnout is and what contributes to it, and some strategies and mindsets that can help. We're going to talk about some neuroscience research and then try some of it out with some group activities. And finally, we're going to talk about strategies to recover if we're currently experiencing burnout. When I say cultivating creativity, I'm talking about the creativity mindset. The creativity mindset is a set of beliefs and practices that sustain and nourish our mind and spirit. Let's define what a mindset is. Wikipedia says that a mindset is a set of assumptions. It can also be a person's worldview or philosophy of life. A fixed mindset is when you believe that your qualities are what you're born with and that your abilities are not changeable, that your intelligence and talents can't be developed or changed. A growth mindset is just the opposite. When you have a growth mindset, you're willing to embrace challenges, learn from criticism, resilient, adaptable, and are inspired by others' successes. The creativity mindset is a growth mindset. Now let's define burnout. According to the International Classification of Diseases as defined by the World Health Organization, burnout is an occupational phenomenon characterized by three dimensions: feeling depleted, feeling cynical about your job, and ability to fulfill your job. Symptoms of burnout. Most of us have probably experienced this in one form or another in our lives. I know that I certainly have. Some of you might be feeling this way now, and if you are, know that you're not alone. What are the causes of burnout? Really, there's two major categories: external and internal. And both have a play on why we experience burnout. Some external factors include stressful life transitions, life events. You can have mounting work pressures, deadlines, real expectations on our time and energy. If you're a parent, you know what I'm talking about. We all experience pressure from multiple places. Some internal factors, and this is really where the burnout mindset comes in. These are attitudes and beliefs that we have that do the opposite of the creativity mindset. These are habits and practices that drain us, take the joy out of life, and make us feel empty and dried out. So what are some characteristics of the burnout mindset? Not having clear boundaries, overworking, working too much, or feeling the pressure to perform, unrealistic expectations, having unrealistic demands from ourselves or others, perfectionism, falling into a vicious cycle of self-criticism, procrastination, postponing important events until the last minute, maybe due to a fear of failure, and then pressure to get things done push us over the edge. And then imposter syndrome. I have that feeling sometimes. Feelings of inadequacy that drive us to overperform, and then a fear of failure. So in doing research for this discussion, I came across Shirzad Shamin's seminal work called Positive Intelligence. In his work, he identifies one master saboteur and up to 9 accomplices that can exist in us that'll affect our ability to navigate in this world. The research he's done, along with neuroscientists and psychologists, has uncovered that there are parts of our brain where these saboteurs, these critical inner voices that undermine our creativity exist. And these saboteurs reside in a different area from where what he calls our sage powers reside. Shirzad claims that no matter how favorable our upbringing might have been, growing up is traumatic. So all of us develop some saboteurs as a defense mechanism. Yet what served to help us to survive childhood can often harm us as adults. So let's identify who these saboteurs are. First, let's meet the judge. I don't know what happened here. Do I have to click it? There you go. The judge. I'm being sabotaged by my judge. No. So, the universal saboteur that afflicts everyone. This one beats us up repeatedly over mistakes and shortcomings, warns us obsessively about future risks, wakes us up in the middle of the night, gets us fixated on what's wrong with our lives, and our judge activates all our other saboteurs. The avoider focuses on the positive and pleasant in an extreme way, avoids difficult, unpleasant tasks and conflicts. The controller has an anxiety-based need to take charge and control situations and people's actions. The hyperachiever is dependent on constant performance and achievement for self-respect and validation. The pleaser tries to gain acceptance and affection by helping, pleasing, and rescuing others. The hyperrational shows intense focus on processing everything, including relationships, can be seen as intellectually arrogant. And then the hypervigilant shows constant anxiety about everything that could go wrong. The stickler is a perfectionist whose need for order and organization is taken too far. The restless is constantly searching for greater excitement or constant busyness. And finally, the victim is emotional and temperamental and uses these to gain attention. So when you line up the saboteurs against the burnout mindset, it actually is interesting because you can see parallels. But why do we have saboteurs? Before we answer this question, let's consider the following slide. If I were to ask you, is pain useful, what would you say?
Yes.
So who can tell me why they think pain is useful?
Because it warns you.
Exactly, thank you. Yes, the answer is yes. So pain alerts us to pay attention. If you put your hand on a hot stove, pain alerts us to take action. So pain is a useful mechanism. What's not useful and what Shirzad uncovers is that pain is only supposed to last less than 1 second. It's just the alarm function. So where's my mouse? It's not working. Oops. Sorry. Oh, should I turn off the lights? We can turn off the lights. You could turn the light down. Yeah, turn it down. There you go. That would probably help. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Did you want me to go back to the other side?
I was just thinking if we could move it.
I think just a little bit.
If you could just scoot back a little bit. Would this help? Actually, you know what? Would this help?
There you
go.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. Oh, you're fine. So back to the whole idea of a pain and what Shirzad uncovers is that pain is a useful mechanism because it's supposed to alert us. But what's not useful is that it's only supposed to last less than 1 second. It's just the alarm function on your brain. So all these saboteurs are like those alarms. They function to get our attention. The problem lies when we hear the alarm, but it doesn't stop ringing. So, for example, when you feel stress, it alerts you to realize that, oh, you have an important presentation and you need to do well. So it helps you to focus. But what happens is that you stay stressed, right? And then that stress prevents you from actually being relaxed and open to ideas as you prepare, or allowing you to study well for a test. You're so stressed you can't really be open to the new ideas or learn. So when we're open and relaxed and curious, we're able to absorb the information well. The key is being able to switch quickly from the alarm mode to sage powers or creativity mindset, where we can actually be effective. So what Shirzad uncovered is that there's a way for us to develop our sage powers. And these powers or actions are lined up very well with the creativity mindset. They include empathize, develop deep appreciation, compassion, and forgiveness for ourselves and others. Explore, childlike curiosity and openness, being non-judgmental. Innovate, break free from conventional thinking. Navigate, making decisions aligned with our deeply held values, our internal compass. And then activate, transitioning from contemplation to action with clarity and focus. So how do we overcome our saboteurs? Over time, we can weaken them by doing these following steps. First we can do is call out the saboteur. For example, instead of saying, I'm going to fail, you can tell yourself, I see my judge is telling me that I'm going to fail. As you notice different saboteurs rearing their ugly heads, you call them out and it helps to weaken their power. Next, what we're going to do is called a PQ rep. Just like we exercise to get strong, a positive intelligence quotient rep is a 10-second practice that can activate our sage powers. These are simple grounding exercises that bring our attention back to the present and deepen our appreciation for the world around us. And unlike meditation, which requires you to be in a quiet room and in solitude, some PQ reps can be done anywhere, even if you're in a room full of people or on a bus. So, as we mentioned, a PQ rep is a 10 seconds of commanding your mind to let go of your thoughts and instead focus on a physical sensation. 10 seconds is approximately the length of 3 breaths. So we're going to actually do a run of PQ reps. My mouse is not working for some reason. It's so weird. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so we're going to do a series of PQ reps, and you're going to notice that your mind will probably wander. This is actually totally normal. You'll notice that your mind drifts repeatedly. You're going to think about the past or the future. But instead of feeling bad about that or beating yourself up or frustrated, just gently command your mind to come back. So we're going to try to do a few of these. And with your feet flat on the floor, your chest open, relatively straight, head not tilting down, hands comfortably on your side or on your lap. Close your eyes if possible. Feeling body weight. Begin to notice the weight of your body on your seat. Begin to notice the weight of your feet on the floor. Now feel your toes. To become more aware of your toes, wiggle them a little. Now we're going to use touch. Gently rub 2 fingertips together with such a tension that you feel the ridges of your fingertips. Gently feel the palm of your one hand with the fingertips of the other hand, with such a tension that you feel the ridges of your palm. Now we're going to do some with breath. Take a few breaths that are deeper than usual. Notice the fall and rise of your chest and stomach with each breath. Place the palm of your hand on your belly. Feel the rise and fall of your breath. Let your breath relax back to its natural rhythm. Notice the temperature of air as it enters your nostrils and the slightly different temperature of your air as it exits your nostrils. Now we're going to do some with sound. listen for the furthest away sound that you can hear. Now hear the sound of your own breathing. Now hear the sounds far away, close by, and your breathing. Okay, if you have your eyes closed, open your eyes. How are you feeling? Nice. Okay. So if you could think of some situation where PQ reps would be valuable, what would you say? What situations could you use them for? Yes.
All situations.
Yeah, really. I mean, if you're like about to lose it, you can do it. If you're like, before you get up to speak to other people, you could do it to help you just get centered. So there's many different ways that we can use it. And really, anytime throughout the day, whether you're with people, whether you're by yourself, you're waiting in line at the supermarket, if you're at the doctor's office. So these are things you can do anytime, right? So the more you identify your saboteurs, call them out, and then immediately do PQ reps until your mind comes to a restful state, the weaker the saboteurs will become. All right, now we're gonna talk about more ways to engage the creativity mindset. Sage powers, excuse me? Oh, you have a question?
Could you contrast that with the fight or flight response in the body?
The fight or flight responses of the body in terms of the sage. So basically, the what we're doing with our the PQ reps is the parasympathetic response, right? This fight or flight is with the sympathetic, and then this is definitely the parasympathetic. You're actually calming your body, bringing it back to that state of calm, which is what you're basically doing. So like when we get overexcited or angry or out of control, or we're thinking too much, or everything's moving too fast, we bring it all back down to the present moment, present, and that helps with everything in terms of being able to just feel calmer and happier.
I guess because if it's sympathetic nervous system and it's fight or flight, it's not just going to calm down because that's your sympathetic nervous system. It might get into a different area.
Well, we can talk about it after. If we could do during our Q&A for sure. Okay. Just something that helps us when we talk about sage powers. They help us to fully engage with our senses so that we can live our lives more fully in the present. Neuroscience has shown that it activates portions of our brain that are dormant and that are being driven by our saboteurs. And one of the sage powers, explore, is rooted in childlike curiosity. When we openly approach the world and even our thoughts with curiosity and not judgment, then we can learn from that exploration. What are you curious about? Nobel Prize winning physicist Richard Feynman once built a functioning home alarm system from spare parts as a child when his parents were out running errands. Feynman was well known for his wide-ranging interests. He learned the Congo drum well enough to play in a professional orchestra. He taught physics in Brazil, among other things. Of course, the thing that he was most famous for was his groundbreaking discoveries in theoretical physics and quantum mechanics. How could one person make so many contributions across so many areas? Well, Feynman had a list of ongoing things, 12 things he was curious about, 12 problems that he was working on at any given time. Feynman said that by and large, they would lie in a dormant state. But as you hear or read something new, you could test those things out against one of your 12 problems. And over time, you'll be able to work them out. If you had 12 problems, what would it look like? What are some open-ended questions that you would like to solve? What are you curious about? If we start by taking a comprehensive look at our lives across different areas like career, relationship, health, personal growth, and hobbies, then write down these specific concerns or areas where we feel that we can make significant progress, aiming for around 12 distinct problems to focus on. Keep in mind that these don't have to be strictly negative issues, but areas that we'd like to delve deeper into and learn more about. Remember, some of these problems might not have concrete answers. This is an opportunity for you to blue sky and work out deeper issues that matter to you. Let's see what's happening here. There we go. So another key to Feynman was his sense of play. Once when someone asked him about why was he so interested in the outcome of a certain problem when it was totally unimportant, his response was, "But isn't it fun?" Later, that line of inquiry resulted in something significant. Stuart Brown, in his book Play, defines it as an absorbing, apparently purposeless activity that provides enjoyment and a suspension of self-consciousness and sense of time. It's also self-motivating and makes you want to do it again. When we're playing, we don't have an ego, we're just enjoying ourselves. When we're at play, we're doing something for the sake of doing it, not just because it has any significant end goal, but because we enjoy doing it. If you examine your life now, how can you incorporate play into your life? That creativity is tied to play leads us to the next concept, idle time or incubation. Philosophies on human productivity in the modern age contribute to burnout. Dominant thinking developed over 150 years ago during the Industrial Revolution still influence us today. These ideas make people feel that unless activity is quote-unquote productive, then it's wasteful. But what these ideas of productivity never took into account is that we need to have idle time, and that's part of the creative process. That this is essential, essentially time not spent working on or actively thinking about a problem. What role does idle time have in creativity? Well, Csikszentmihalyi, in his book Creativity, talks about how ideas form in our subconscious. When we're working on a creative problem, we might hit a roadblock. When we actively stop thinking about it, the problem is out of reach of the censorship of awareness. So no longer affected by our biases and preconceived ideas, our mind continues to work on it. Think about a time when you were not thinking about something and the answer came to you while you were out shopping or taking a shower. So knowing this, it's key that you build in idle time into your work time so that it allows you to be able to work on problems. Sometimes slogging away on something isn't productive. Take scheduled breaks and times to refresh. After working on a long project, schedule rest to be able to recharge. If you're someone who has control over your time in terms of making proposals for projects, build in idle time to give your brain time to work on problem solving. There is a business concept, the law of diminishing returns, where slogging away on a project to all hours doesn't actually produce anything of value. Learn to know when your body is saying enough and listen to those cues. But if you're currently experiencing burnout, what are some things you can do? Well, there's cross-pollination. It's a way to recharge ourselves by exposure to diverse experiences. Take inspiration from nature. Go on a hike or camping. Go to the museum or art openings around town. Engage in a different hobby. If you like knitting, try painting. You might start to read a different genre of literature. If you read only fiction, try a biography on a historical figure. Try a new type of music. If you like classical music, get into country. And here are some daily practices that can help. Daily journaling helps because we can discuss our internal and external journeys. We can start a conversation on work that we want to do, gathering ideas and making plans. If you're someone who struggles with journaling, there's books that actually have prompts you can purchase. You can also do some online searches on prompts that'll help you to get started writing. Exercise is very helpful. Yoga combines somatic awareness with physical sensations. And new evidence is showing that weightlifting actually develops new neurons to combat memory loss and improve wellness. Socializing. When we're all burned out, we often want to be alone, but the best thing may be to reach out to friends and get the support and validation from them. Who's the person in your life who reminds you who you are? Seek out your friends and get the support you need. Finally, we need to give ourselves grace. Sometimes we can be our own worst critics. We need to give ourselves a pat on the back and be willing to celebrate our own achievements. When you achieve a milestone or accomplishment, do you stop and acknowledge it? Just as we're willing to praise or acknowledge other people when they do something that's worth celebrating, we need to do that for ourselves. Let's do a quick recap of what we discussed today. When external forces, limited time, and expectations are bearing down on us, we can't simply afford to be driven by them. We have to get into the driver's seat and meet the challenges that our lives throw at us. We can choose to either have the burnout mindset that will leave us feeling empty with nothing left to give, or the creativity mindset that will continue to nourish and sustain not only our creative practice, but our lives. We can cultivate the creativity mindset or sage powers by daily PQ reps, and we can cultivate childlike curiosity and give ourselves grace. Thank you. So the only thing I would like to say is, if you enjoyed this lecture, please share some of what you learned with someone in your life who you think would benefit from it. If there's an organization or group that would benefit from this lecture, please let me know. And as I mentioned before in the preface, I'm a creativity life coach, and if you're interested in learning about what that is, come talk to me or check out my website. Also, that saboteur assessment is online. You can actually take an assessment and find out who your top saboteurs are, so you'll be able to identify them. So that's it. Do you have any questions?